this video, we're going to look at the gatherer for the Willcox Gibbs. And it's basically this little piece, you see the arrow pointing, and it slides on the end of the presser foot. And that's all there is to the attachment. So we'll go ahead and put this on the machine here. You can see how small it is. It's probably something that tended to get lost quite a bit. So there's probably, considering that this one managed to stay with this machine for over 114 years, is pretty good. But here's how you put it on. You just slip it on the end of the foot, and that's the regular presser foot. It's pretty snug. It fits really, really tight. And then the other thing you have to do is you have to thread it very differently. You do not go through the moving needle bar of the arm there. You just go straight from the spool to the tensioner, and I'll show you how you do it here. You avoid this moving needle bar and that hole that's down there that you normally would go through. You're going to go straight from the spool around the tensioner and over to the stationary eye and thread it through. So let's go ahead and do that. Here I'm taking the thread and I'm going to go around that tensioner. Now the tensioner's open, so I've moved the machine so it's open. And I avoid, normally you'd go from the spool to that moving arm and then to the tensioner. Well, you don't go through that moving arm. So you go over the top into the eye that's on the stationary arm. Avoid that middle one, the moving arm. And then you go through and thread it as you normally would otherwise. Go through that little wire eye down there and then up through the hook on the needle bar, down the eye that's on the side of the head, and then basically into your needle just like you would otherwise, but you avoid that middle arm, that moving arm. Okay, and the other thing you do is you set your stitches to between 12 and 16, so I'm going to go ahead and set this one to 14 right in the middle to try this out. And here's a piece of cotton fabric that we'll gather and see how this works. Now this is the first time I've ever tried this, so we'll see what happens. And this is with the thread from the spool going once around the tensioner. I'm getting a little ruffle there. It's not a lot, just a little light ruffle. The way you increase the ruffle is you go around that tensioner again. So we're going to go around the tensioner a second time. So we've got it in there once. We make sure the tensioner's lifted up so I can get in through the discs, in between the discs. Go around a second time. So we've gone twice. And now we'll see what kind of a ruffle we get with it going around twice. Okay, well that is a little more. That's more ruffle. It's pretty good. And so let's see what happens when we go around 3 times around that tensioner. And they tell you in the instructions you can go up to 3 times around the tensioner. So this is going to be the maximum amount of ruffle. So we're going 3 times around. So that's 3 times around. And they say only go up to 3 times around. We'll try and see what we get. Alright, well now that's a lot more ruffle. That is a very strong ruffle. So there it is. So you can get really super nice ruffle. Now I've turned it back to just 1 around to see what it goes all the way down the strip with just 1 time around the tensioner, just to compare. And so you can see at the beginning it's a light ruffle, the middle's a medium-sized ruffle, and the 3rd times around it's a lot of ruffle. And that's basically what this foot does, and that's how you do it.